doing under the Horizon 2020 program. So today we have the presentation for the Save the Homes project, which Anna will present in detail. Anna is a project manager at Wigan Engineers and Consultant. I hope it's not too badly pronounced. She has several years of experience in innovation, sustainability in the construction sectors, with a focus, particular focus on circular economy, people-centered approach, and human building interaction. She is currently the coordinator for two Horizon 2020 projects. One of them is Save the Homes, and she will be presenting this now. Yeah.
Thank you, Christophe. Just before we started, I said to Christophe that it feels like a review meeting for our project since he's the project officer. But joke aside, you're the external experts, you know, so now you review how well we are doing.
I'm taking note.
Yeah. Yeah, so I hope that is motivation to stay alive and really focus on my presentation. So I would like to say, first of all, thank you for CINEA for inviting us, for Covenant of Mayors to having this yearly investment forum, and of course to all of you for being here. Christophe, how do I change the slides? This? Uh-huh. Nope.
It's not a good
presentation.
It's another one.
It will come. Yeah, so in between that we get slides up. Yeah, so as said by Christophe, we are one of the funded projects under the Horizon 2020 program, where they were looking for projects to develop and implement integrated home renovation services. And our project is based on the one-stop shop model. I will explain how we are doing it for the two, how we are doing it for the two pilot cities. But first of all, I would like to say that, of course, I believe that all of us here understand the need for renovation. So why we need to renovate. The fact that buildings consume so much energy, that there is a large proportion of EU building stock, and among that, mostly like residential buildings that are really inefficient. So if we want to achieve the climate targets by 2050, we really need to start working towards scale up of renovations, and especially we see a lot of initiatives focusing on renovation of public buildings where we forget about home renovations. Should I say next slide? Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, so as I said, why we need to renovate, it's quite clear. However, what we oftentimes do not ask ourselves is why we then don't renovate. And this is where our projects comes in, and in general, one-stop shop implementations in the different cities, municipalities, is that we initially oftentimes just assume that homeowners will renovate. And I'm also a homeowner, and I'm going right now through a home renovation, and I can say that it's quite difficult, even though I'm a civil engineer. So I speak the engineering language. It's not that easy. And why that? So in Save the Homes, we really try to look at the renovations from homeowners' perspective, and that's, of course, common thing to one-stop shops. Maybe some of you have experience with one-stop shops, so you know that in this case, we really try to look at homeowners' perspective and ask, like, what would make them renovate? So when embarking the renovation journey, oftentimes homeowners are left on their own. So you have to look for contractors, you have to look for financing. Then that I don't start talking about a real quality and real performance. If you decide to go into renovation, are you actually gonna get low energy bill at the end of the month or not? Is it gonna be improved comfort or not? Those are all the hurdles that homeowner, when embarking the journey, meets. So the idea is that we have this vicious cycle, as the graphical representation shows, where we don't have trust from homeowners. So there is no real question for renovation. Because of no question, there are really not competitive solutions for renovation. For new construction, it's the different case, but we talk about the renovation of residential buildings. And then there's no deal, no business. And again, we go. So this is where one-stop shops come in. So it is, how can we organize the whole process and take the burden away from homeowner in order to start scaling and see actually the doubling renovation rates around EU in the coming years. So we do our activities in two cities in Europe, in Rotterdam and in Valencia. They are called our pilot cities, where we really develop one-stop shop concepts and also implement them. So we actually will have renovations during the project duration. And then we also look at developing blueprints for our follower cities, City of Ljubljana in Slovenia and Sant Cugat in Spain. And our project started in the end of 2020. So we are now 2 years, in 1st of September 2020. So now we are 2 years on our way and we have a year to go. Just tomorrow we have a 5th consortium meeting in our follower city, Sant Cugat, where we will also discuss a potential extension since we're a bit delayed. But the idea is that we do actual renovations in Rotterdam, in Valencia, where homeowners went through this citizen customer journey and are actually satisfied with renovations as also through the whole process. And the idea of Save the Homes is that those one-stop shops are endorsed by municipality as a trustworthy entity, ensuring that the process is independent, transparent, and of high quality for the citizens. So what we want to say here is that trust is crucial. What we see in realizing that renovations are not happening at scale, or they are really minor, is that people don't trust renovations. Our industry, construction industry, is quite top-down, supply-driven, where there is a big gap between the supply side and homeowners. At the moment, we are really having different, special market conditions due to the situation in Ukraine, due to post-COVID impact. So we have a big higher demand from homeowners who want to do something about their houses, but still they are not really sure whom to trust to ensure that the quality is there. So having this agreement and endorsement by municipalities, we hope we can achieve this trustworthy and transparent relationship. So those are our consortium partners. We have 11 consortium members. So the main ones are connecting to our pilot cities. So in Rotterdam, we have Gemeente Rotterdam. We have Bouwgeluk Group as an engineering consultancy firm. Hagen, yeah, that's us. And then we have in Valencia, condominium managers, BRCP, an energy office, VCE. I saw that you have in your project also in Prospect, and an Institute of Valencia, IVE. And then, as I mentioned, we have two follower cities, Sant Cugat and Ljubljana, and an important partner, GNE Finance, as a financing operator that is kind of a consultant for all those cities in helping setting up the right financing, or like connecting the right financing for their models for the renovation services that we want to implement in these cities. And then we have two umbrella associations, ICLEI, it's also one of the founding members of Covenant of Mayors, if I'm not mistaken, and representing the local governments, and UIPI, the Union of International Union of Property Owners, that is for exploitation and replication, to important umbrella associations. So in one-stop shop concepts, and in specific in Save the Homes, we take quite known marketing tool, customer journey. This is kind of the beginning of development of one-stop shop model, where we really look each touch point of a renovation process that homeowner goes through, and look how we can improve this touch point. So it means from overall information giving to actual design, elaboration, actual renovation activities happening, and then also with the follow-up, so ensuring that there's quality through performance monitoring. So basically, in the main objective for developing these customer journeys is to decomplexify the renovation process, establish trust relationship, provide tailor-made information, and offer continuous advice and support for homeowners. Now I will go, this was a bit in general about the one-stop shop model, and therefore not so specific for Save the Homes. And now I will go more into depth about characteristics and examples from the two pilot cities in Rotterdam and Valencia. And first I will start with Rotterdam. And as a background context, this is basically taken, the figure is taken itself from an article written by actually Christophe Mellin and his colleague, Adrien Boulier, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it well, but anyway, where they, in the article, they elaborate the different models that are implemented under the one-stop shop model in the different EU member states. And basically they differ or make three distinction about models, like advice model, support model, and implementation model, but it's not really set in stone. Like, as you will see in the examples from Rotterdam and Valencia, we are like blending the different models. So basically in the one-stop shop in Rotterdam, most focus here is because it's quite a high information and awareness raised in the city about understanding why we need to renovate, and the needs are therefore clear. But what we try to hear more work on is organization of actually the diagnosis of the houses, so really doing the scan, what is needed for which buildings, and then helping homeowners with the project design, and already suggesting some companies that can perform these renovations. So we see it as an integral model where we try to form a collective. So this means that we don't really target individual homes, but really try to organize a bundle of homes that, so a bundle of homeowners that want to go through the renovation with similar renovation activities, and then present this as an offer to the supply side. So the actually supply side, different contractors are interested in a bigger amount of houses to be renovated than going for an individual homeowner. Because what we see in Rotterdam, and in general, I believe it's a similar situation all around the Netherlands. I mean, I'm based in Maastricht, and we see similar problem with the supply side, is that we have a lack of workforce. So it's really on how can we stimulate contractors to go for renovation instead of new projects, etc. So here we do try to, I mean, we do also on combined financing, as I mentioned, and also try to help homeowners to really decide for actual renovation, but we don't go into implementation with them. There are different reasons on why not. One of the main ones is, of course, that the whole concept is endorsed by municipalities. So there are some liability issues, some actually responsibility issues that, but we try to take homeowner until the tipping point of deciding for renovation. So yeah, as said, Municipality of Rotterdam is here a facilitator. We work with the energy communities because they are kind of already a trusted entity for a lot of homeowners in different neighborhoods. At the moment, like in our pilot case, where we are renovating 16 homes, we work with the Alex Energie as one of the energy communities that's quite active. Then quite important funding scheme that it's particular for the Netherlands is ETF, it's Energy Transitie Fund. So basically due to a quite active role of on a national level and political will, they have already these financing schemes that allow for subsidies of home renovations. Also what we are working on is really on digitalization, because I mean the literacy in the Netherlands is quite high. So how can we really do at least this beginning part of first designs and just simplified design assessment based on online tools. And this is just quickly to show you how we go then, as I mentioned, for each touch point, how we improve in the customer journey for a specific pilot case. I said that in beginning, we really work with Alex Energy's energy cooperative community to engage with enough homeowners to really get them on board, have some neighborhood meetings with them, do some measurements, and then really present first designs, do first assessment. As I mentioned, in this case, we do a pilot project with 16 homes because we believe if we can make 16 homes, then we can scale up. As in the Netherlands, there are quite similar buildings, especially Rotterdam, that was rebuilt after the World War II. There are quite some similar buildings in the same neighborhood. So there's a like an easy scale-up approach in that perspective, from the building perspective. Then, as said, that we also help them with the financial guidance. We have a professional advisor who is actually from the local community and a retired expert who help them with understanding what this means if they go with those renovation measures through what will bring that an added value. And then I have these parts that are in red that we are still discussing. As I mentioned, we don't want to go into implementation or be responsible for actual renovation, but we are still investigating and discussing how can we like still support homeowners in that process, more as supervision, advisor in the process. And of course, we do want to do some monitoring to have the actual shown improved performance. And this is just to show the work we did on the business model canvas. If there will be specific questions, there's also G&E Finance to support me on this elaboration. But what I want to just show is basically that we really work thoroughly on identifying key partners, so key stakeholders, what will be their role, revenue streams, really understanding what are possibilities, also understanding how will be like self-sustainability once the funding from Horizon 2020 runs out. So the long-term sustainability, again, what is the value proposition? It's oftentimes that people are not looking for lower energy bill, but more for improved comfort, for better indoor air quality, etc. So this is now just to show examples from the ground. So we work with the existing initiatives, with different pop-up consultancy centers that are around the city. I mentioned using digital tools. We built also upon results of previous projects, combining with work from energy communities, etc. And also what we do, of course, we want to go for a deep renovation, but we do also try to stimulate and show scenarios to people on how to do a step-by-step component renovation. So in case that they are not able to renovate at one go, to achieve for an, I don't know, energy labeled F to come to an energy labeled B, or so that we can do it in step-by-step approach. And now switching to Valencian side. So in Valencia, there is lower literacy or understanding on need for home renovation, and actually about trust, that they really see an added value of home renovations. So here there is much more focus on tailor-made campaigns and marketing in order to get people on board, to really like feel that they can trust, that it's a trustworthy process, that they will be that they won't be left alone. So there is more on the upstream activities, so information. Then we also did quite some efforts with mapping the building stock, really understanding which are the most inefficient buildings in which areas of Valencia. So here we work with Municipality of Valencia. So which are the critical neighborhoods. Also to look about the demand side, so understanding the profiles of homeowners. And here we do some simplified diagnosis and recommendations to homeowners, and help with validated registries of companies that can provide these renovations, and also combine it with some financing suggestions. So showing them and introducing them available financing schemes from the public subsidies to also some banks that can offer rather affordable mortgages. So as I showed that here, it's quite some focus on actual awareness raising and information. We do have quite some physical offices, energy offices in the city, where there is like information provision. There are evening events for homeowners to come and discuss their issue, discuss what kind of problems they have. A lot of buildings, here we also target multifamily buildings, have issue of where homeowners just want an elevator because they cannot access, I mean, it's difficult to access upper floors. So we try to then see how can we implement then energy renovation, and of course, add those measures that actually just improve their comfort and make their lives easier. We also made some guidelines, like really simple guidelines to explain this renovation process. So to bring the renovation not as something that only engineers understand, but really in more layman's terms, jargon-free. Also here we have a Reno tool. So it's a diagnosis tool that helps people to understand how their building is performing, and already showing some simple examples of how they could connect it with financing schemes that are out there. And Valencia or Spain got quite some funds from the recovery fund, which is now also funneled on regional level. And therefore there are quite some available subsidies, but it's not as structured as in case of Rotterdam or the Netherlands. Also, they do work on training of professionals. And as I mentioned, they have validated registries. But the issue is at the moment that a lot of people don't trust these registries. So even though that there are validated companies, people don't find that as trustworthy. So this is something we are now working on. We also connect with another project on certification of companies from Happen. We are taking, like, it's also Horizon 2020 project that has quite a nice scheme. So we are also like reconsidering certifying these companies. And that is, again, this is now for case of Valencia, just to show the touch points we work on for the different stops of customer journey. So as I said, there are a lot of workshop events, pop-up events on a local level. Like there were even events in a supermarket to really try to like come to homeowners in their, where they go every day, etc. And then, as I mentioned, using the online tools for diagnosis, combining with different financial options. As said, like validated contractors, where we are now doing additional training and certification schemes. And then this is a business model for Valencia. I believe recording will be available, so you can zoom in, or I can share presentation with you if you want to understand better the business model canvas. But again, same as before, we really try to look at the revenue streams to really understand how can be a self-sustainable model afterwards, and of course elaborated on all the aspects of the business model. And those are, again, examples from the ground. We are connecting with existing initiatives, with existing tools that are out there. I mean, I don't know about the other regions in Spain, but from the Valencian government, there is quite a lot of digital tools that can help us set up this one-stop shop on the supply side and the financing side. Those are example, again, like from energy office in the city. And I'm so slowly coming to conclusion. What I want to say is that it's really a complex process. As during the proposal writing, we maybe underestimated a bit how to set up this foundation to really bring together supply, demand, and financing, because we really believe that key is on integration, that it's easier to work, for example, just on the supply side or the demand, but how to really create relationships and bring the supply and the demand side together, and of course then combined with the financing. So what we really see is that energy renovations are much more than just talking about actual energy, where we need to really focus on on the different aspects. So from the products, we bring in processes, policy, support-based and cooperation, and again, really work on going from unaware homeowners to convinced and trust, from initiative to execution and all together. That's why we call it the citizen hub, because we see it really as a trustworthy place for homeowners. And some key takeaways. What we learned so far, of course, we don't have real experience from actual renovations, but think big and start small. And what took us quite some time was to build a strong network with local actors, then work on how to channel fundings effectively. So as I mentioned, now with the recovery funds and with different cohesion funds, there is quite a lot available public funds. Of course, that's not going to be there maybe on a long term, but for now, we can really utilize these funds on a national level and therefore also leverage private financing, so private investments, and work on a value proposition focusing on the whole customer experience, where good marketing is really important. This is what we really learned, that sometimes we are not too daring with our approach toward homeowners, but I think we can learn from other industries about this, on how to really approach homeowners. Then, of course, make use of all the online tools and platforms, because this can really ensure good conversion rates and efficiency, because having like all the in-person meetings and inspections, it can be quite demanding. And then, as I showed briefly in the business model I mentioned, really consider different revenue streams as quite difficult to make viable business model, as it depends on public subsidies. And of course, start widening the scope by integrating the expertise on health, aesthetics, and circularity. As I mentioned, of course, already beginning that we talk about improved comfort towards people, not about energy saving, about improved aesthetics, maybe new kitchen, etc. This is really about it. It has to be an integral offer. And just to conclude, I would like to say that, of course, today I was introducing Save the Homes approach. Maybe some of you know other one-stop shop successful models that were implemented in your countries, in your regions, but here are just some that also we look up to, because there are some of them are running longer or have different approach, etc. So there is a lot to learn from. Thank you so much. And yeah, that's it from my side for now.
And you perfectly kept the time, so we still have lots of time for question and answer. I will start with a surprise exam and make sure that you remember everything from the slide, especially the slides on the business model. I will ask questions. No, but more seriously, just I saw people taking pictures, and we will share actually the PowerPoint after the conference, so you will have this. And we see also from the very dense information in your slides that there are probably lots of elements also to look at the project website.
Yeah.
So most of these analyses are actually detailed in deliverables from the project, and at the project website, most of these deliverables are actually public. So if you want to dig into this information, then feel free to pay a visit or contact Anna. That we can most probably.
Project, they made sure that we will follow all the projects. So.
Exactly. And now we have time for a question and answer. So I don't know who wants to start, but Maria here, and then here second. Yeah.
Hello. Can you hear me? Yeah. Hello, Maria Laguna from Cinea. I was looking at the Rotterdam case, and I'm interested a bit of the role of any cooperatives and what support they can bring into renovation. So I wanted to understand a bit better the role of Alex Energy, if it's just awareness raising or if they are part of the business model. And what is not clear, for me, it's who will run the one-stop shops while the project will finish. So who will be in charge? Is it a municipality? It's a private company. So I will be interested to know that. Thanks.
very relevant questions. I think you really listened well to the presentation. Yeah, so about the first question, in case of Rotterdam, like the energy, there was already some cooperation between the Municipality of Rotterdam and Alex Energie as one of the energy communities in neighborhood. And there we work with Prince Alexander area, where we identified that the building stock is quite bad. And since energy communities are more looking into the green energy transition, of course, we also need to work on energy efficiency. So it was kind of coming from both sides. This need energy community wanted to do a bit step into energy efficiency. So actual renovation of homes to be both ready for the green transition as also to improve insulation, etc. And of course, the municipality who joined the project was looking for people that are having already a trustful relationship with citizens. And those people who are, as we discussed in the break with Christoph, that one of actually pain points is that those are actually volunteers who work in energy communities. So now that we are talking, what it relates to your second question, who will run this after the project funds end, is still on the discussion table, because especially like focusing or being dependent on energy communities, you don't know how long they will be there, but it's a good entry point. So in our case, that was kind of from both sides was interest to be part of the project. And regarding the self-sustainability of the business model of the one-stop shop running after the funds end, we are still looking who would be the main responsibility, who would take the main responsibility. In one case, we are a bit discussing whether Bauloop as one of the partners would be that person. But then again, there are still discussions with the municipality whether they want to have a more significant role. Will there be an office at their premises? So it's, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not totally defined yet how it's going to be. Like, it's still a main discussion on the table for us.
Hello, I'm Gyuri Sümegi, representing Habitat for Humanity International and also the Comif-Eefmp project. I might have missed in your presentation whether your one-stop shops are offering services to owner-occupied multi-apartment buildings too. Yeah. And if yes, how you deal with the dynamics of community decision-making in homeowner associations, if you can share anything on that.
Yeah, in Valencian case, we do deal with the multifamily buildings. So we do have their condominiums, and of course, like we're the more approaching there the whole building manager of a multifamily building and approaching with them, so they have meetings. And we do, I mean, of course, we do have for some homeowners reluctancy, like in any condominium, in any multifamily building. So there are like longer discussions and evening meetings, etc., and talking about like really added value about comfort, etc., so that we have majority on board.
Sylvia Słomek, Eurocities. I have two questions. One very practical. What is the cost and capacity needed to run one-stop shop by one of the cities? So basically, how many people need to be there and how much does it cost? It probably relates to how can it be continued. Yeah. And the other thing is maybe introductory comment, because I wonder what you think about it. When I talk about one-stop shops with local authorities in Poland, especially smaller ones, they say, yes, it sounds great, but we are very afraid that if it's a small scale, we will be able to support only some residents, and most of our residents will be unhappy because they do not get this support. Mm-hmm. And also because it's a pilot stage, a pilot phase, you have 16 houses, right, as far as I remember. Is it an issue in terms of reputational risk or any kind of troubles on the local authority side that it's only 16 houses and there will be expectation from residents to continue it?
Maybe go with the first one and then I answer the second. So on the first one, I won't make a number right now, but of course we do have certain numbers. What we do see, of course, it will depend, same as we were discussing before, who will take the role, who will become kind of the responsible one of the one-stop shop. So we are not yet there. We are still in the implementation phase. But what we see, of course, is that also there are differences in cost structures between Valencia and Rotterdam. So in Rotterdam, of course, it's much more expensive to run such one-stop shop. It also depends really, because in Valencian case, there are some initiatives that are now part of one-stop shop model that already have funding, you know, so they won't be seen, they are not included in our cost structure. So in that way, it's really like dependent case by case. And of course, it will all depend what will be really the number in the end, what agreements we will have in the whole structures of who is the owner, who will take really a part, how will be shared the revenues, the profits, etc. And the second one was on, yeah. So of course, I mentioned that the pilot scale is 16. This is more to just say that we want to go with the one customer journey in the collective approach. So having, in this case, 16 homes to be renovated is just an example to show it goes. And then we believe that we can always scale to a higher number. And in the case, maybe it was not so clear from my presentation, but we are already working with other energy communities that they have interest from their homeowners. And of course, once we see that it's running on the case of Prince Alexander, the pilot case, which we have, we're going to start scaling up or like scaling around. So it's not, we don't see really now an issue that there would be seen that we only work with one. And of course, municipality will always ensure that all the neighborhoods are covered.
To add this, not strictly related to Save the Homes, but also in other initiatives, what we see is that there is a shortage of a workforce, shortage of material also, and this is a difficulty when you put in place the services to create some expectation, and then you're not able to deliver because you have a pipeline of too many projects, and you're not, and it's not reasonable to make people wait for one year after they get the refurbishment. So it's a balance to strike between going big and going reasonably fast enough, so don't create expectation you cannot fulfill.
Thank you. This is exactly what's happening in the Netherlands. As I mentioned also before, that there is a huge lack of workforce. And at the moment, we also don't want to create too much of demand. Like, we're really working on this organization of collective to get suppliers interested in the renovations, then actually working on the demand side, because there is the demand but we cannot really have people waiting, as Christoph mentioned, for a year, because that's actually really counter-effective compared to this trustworthiness that I talked about. So we have to be really careful about it.
Thank you. I was reading that one of the customer segment mentioned by you was people in energy poverty. How can you include them in such a journey when they don't have they don't have any money to invest?
Again, this is in the case of Valencia, but we're really looking about, of course, we should not leave those groups behind, and they are actually most likely living in the worst performing buildings. So this is in the case of condominiums, of multifamily buildings that we are looking at, that we are having in the case of Valencia. And there we are looking also with banks, like with mortgages, and also with available subsidies. I believe that also Valentina can maybe elaborate a bit more if it's needed on that aspect, or you can discuss during the break, because she is from Genie Finance on the financing side.
Steve, I have time for 2 questions, and that will be the last ones, because then we have to move to the next session.
Thank you very much, and quite interesting. I mean, it's always quite challenging, the one-stop shops to get hold of the homeowners and to really make them to bring to the investment decisions. I mean, you have a kind of combination of if I understood, personal context, visits on site, but also you have quite a lot of activities at digital level. Can you kind of compare these? I mean, is it more important to have a very good digital presentation, or is it more important to have personal context? I mean, can you already kind of give some indications to what look after? Thank you.
This is, sorry. I mean, our ambition was to maybe optimize the whole process and have as much as activities also in a digital way, you know, because it's about the cost efficiency of the one-stop shops. But especially in the case of Valencia, we see that the personal touch is still really important. As I mentioned, the digital literacy in the Netherlands is higher, so people are more used to use apps, and also those I briefly showed actually the tools we use in the case of Rotterdam for diagnosis. There is like also similar building stock, so you can really you get quite reliable information. So it's a bit about trade-off, really based on the local needs, how people are perceiving digital tools compared to in-person touch. We always will have, I mean, in both cases, we have physical offices. So if there are really people who are willing to come to the office, they get their advice. There are some people who rather do it more efficient on their phone. So.
The very last question there.
Thank you very much for a very interesting presentation. Krzysztof Gierulski, European Commission. I've been working or helping both Ukraine and recently more Moldova, doing energy efficiency reforms in the residential sector. It's a challenging thing because you cannot do it just by single measures. You need what we found over there. I think it would be true. You have shown examples from Netherlands, from Spain, but I think it would be true also for other parts of Europe. In the residential sector, you need someone to help people to do some hand-holding, because they cannot, I mean, if you will be waiting for them to do it themselves, it will take much longer. This is for sure. In Ukraine, we call the system project managers. So we need someone to help. The difference between maybe Western countries, I'm a bit stereotyping now, but and eastern part of Europe will be the level of trust towards authorities. The more east you go, the less trust you have. Mm-hmm. And I would be careful about giving, I mean, there is a role certainly for local authorities to play, because they have a local position. They are recognized. Probably normally they have more trust among local people than central governments. And they can provide some indifferent or there's a neutral type of advice to the people, and there should be. Of course, they have limited capacities. Now, question is, well, you already said, you mentioned yourself, like in the project you had some plan in the work plan to certify some construction companies, and we're very careful about this, because then if something goes wrong, people can turn back. If the role is done by or performed by municipality, they can turn back to municipality and say, well, this company did a bad job. Now you are responsible, right? Yep. So the question is about responsibility, and it takes a lot of time to do this, maybe, but still information has to be provided in a neutral way. So it would be a question also from me about just maybe a few more words about these roles of municipality versus decision-making of homeowners. Mm-hmm. Because I think when I came, I didn't know the content, I didn't know about your project before coming. Always the risk is that there is some tendency, if you have one-stop shop approach, means sometimes for some people that municipality will decide for people. So we'll choose the company, we'll choose construction company and so on. There is a risk. So you can just say a few more words how you approach this.
Yeah. Maybe I wasn't so specific in my presentation, but we really don't advise on companies. We kind of advise on quality, and then if companies achieve certain quality, then it has the certification it has. And the point you were making on the kind of people not trusting local authorities, of course, it's maybe more common in Eastern Europe, but the experience is in quite a lot of EU countries similar. So in that way, of course, it's again, like it's always a discussion. Of course, you have to approach it somehow. And a lot of one-stop shops are also seen as commercially biased when they are run by a commercial company. So again, people are also not trusting, you know, so we try to approach it as I mentioned also in a jargon-free way, so that we really come close to people to make it clear, like, hey, we are together in this, we are going for the same goals, so let's work together. And towards that, as I mentioned, from unaware to go to trust, I mean, it's our attempt, like how successful we are gonna be. We don't want to stop just because we know that there's quite oftentimes like a general perception of people that they cannot trust the municipalities. And this is why also we call it Citizen Hub. Already name makes it a bit more like we are, you know, like here for the citizens. And yeah, I mean, how reactions are until now, it's of course also with the current times that there is really like people trying to figure out what they can do. So they're also much more open for collaboration and like hearing from us. Yeah, and also what I mentioned in case of Valencia, there are validated registries from the local government, which people do not trust. That's why we said that we are now looking for different certification schemes to make it. And oftentimes it's also about really tailor-made information, how you bring the information to homeowners, not in a public authority language. Really, like it has to be a homeowner-based language, like really easy. This is especially, I think, Jenny, finance can agree about financing. You know, we have to make it really like easy, understandable.
My friend, we have to close from now. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. And you have the email from Anna in case you want to keep in touch. Again, go visit the website with a lot of information, also a lot of public deliverables there. We have another session just afterwards with Pro-Retro, so another example of one-stop shops, this time in Germany. Just also to mention that in case you find it interesting and you think you can do equally good or even better than what is presented here, there is a call for proposal with a deadline on the 16th of November. So it's coming soon, but you still have the time to apply and develop your own one-stop shop. So feel free to look at the information and the live set call from proposal on Home Reno, and feel free to submit your good presentation. You will get inspired by this and probably by the next session on Pro-Retro. Thank you.